Mate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. So the topic today that we are going to be discussing and looking at is the concept of akarma, and akarma, which is performing actions which are without reactions. So I thought that we should, as it is quite a large topic, really, it's a very huge topic and a very deep topic. I thought that there's one verse which gives us a very nice overview to begin of what action is, what inaction is, and it gives us a good understanding firsthand of what to expect when we're delving into this topic. So that is in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 17. So I will sing the verse and I will read the translation and purport as well. Karmano yapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. Karmano yapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. Karmano yapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. I'll actually be reading the word-to-word translation as well of this verse. Karmanaha, of work. He, certainly. Api, also. Bodhavyam, should be understood. Bodhavyam, should be understood. Cha, also. Vikarmanaha, of forbidden work. Akarmanaha, of inaction. Cha, also. Bodhavyam, should be understood. Gahana, very difficult. Karmanaha, of work. Gatihi, entrance. So from the word-to-word synonyms, of work, certainly. Also should be understood. Should be understood. Also of forbidden work, of inaction, also should be understood. Very difficult, of work, entrance. So the translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. I will read the purport now. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinctions between action, inaction, and unauthorized actions. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and perverted actions because it is a very difficult subject matter. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme, i.e., one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarmas, or prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered. So this, with this purport, it actually covers pretty much all the overview. So we have to first understand what is the difference between action, inaction, and unauthorized action, karma, vikarma, and akarma. We have to understand, what karma is. We also have to understand our prescribed duties. We have to understand how do we reach a stage of akarma, and also the importance of associating with authorities of Krishna. Of authorities in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so let's first break down the karma, akarma, and vikarma. So firstly, karma. We all know, as this is a senior class, most of the devotees, the senior devotees, all know all of this. But for the sake of the discourse, I'll just define. Karma is obviously any action that we do. It has an associated reaction. It is also associated reaction is also known as a fruitive result. In Western, society, Christianity, we often hear the phrase, "What goes around comes around," and obviously these are not. Karma is not very, as simplistic as that. But even Christianity as well, Jesus said, "As you sow, so shall you reap." So this concept of action leading to a reaction is very very common in religions across the world and philosophy as well. But it's much more nuanced and much more deep, as we will get into. But also karma. Karma is actions that are performed in terms of one's prescribed duties. We will get into what prescribed duties are in more detail. I won't touch on it too much because it is a very, very huge topic, but it's important to know in the context of our discussion. So karma can be split into two parts. There's sukarma and vikarma. Good karma, bad karma, in a very simplistic form. When you perform your prescribed duties, then and you perform them piously, then you gain sukarma. That is good karma, which is gained from following these duties piously. Vikarma, which is a second definition. Vikarma is forbidden action. Prabhupada mentions in one of his purports, actually in one of his classes, that vikarma is actions that are performed through the misuse of one's freedom. And this misuse of one's freedom, this vikarma, directs one to the lower life forms. And this is a result of bad karma. Essentially, vikarma is acting against the rules. Prabhupada gives a very nice example of driving. If we have certain rules in regards to driving, we must drive on the left-hand side of the road in New Zealand and in India. In India, it's I'm not sure if people follow the rules anymore, but in terms of rules and regulations, we have to drive on one side of the road. If you drive on the wrong side of the road, that is against the rules, and so you fall privy to criminal action, or in a sense it's vikarma, because you're not following the rules. For us as devotees, as practicing devotees, vikarma, Prabhupada mentions in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Text 5, Verse 4, that the four regulative principles that we follow, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex, these are set in place from the Shastras, with the idea of not falling into vikarmic actions. That these four regulative principles stop us from performing the sinful activities. And these are the four main sinful activities of meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit sex. And so, as devotees, we recognize that we should avoid these sinful activities, and so we don't fall into vikarma. But also, taking it one step further, we don't want to fall under vikarma, but we realize that karma is still on the bodily platform. It's still not in the spiritual platform. It's still action reaction. So we talked about sukarma just before, performing good karma, performing good karmic activities. Even if we perform sukarma, even if we accumulate good karma, we are still caught up in the karmic cycle. And we'll touch on this further, but it's just an important note for me to keep, to remind myself that actually in any case, whether we perform good karma or bad karma, that is not our aim. We don't want to be caught up in sukarma or vikarma. We want to transcend this. Now, so, karma, action, reaction, vikarma, forbidden action. And thirdly is akarma. Akarma is inaction or action which is performed without fruitive reactions. So in terms of material example, Prabhupada again says that, in essence, to understand akarma, is that we act on authority. So Prabhupada mentions, for example, a soldier who fights in war, and they get a Medal of Honor for killing people. But in a regular scenario, anyone who kills someone will not be awarded for it. They'll be thrown in jail, or they'll be tried in court. The thing is that this action is sanctioned by the government. It is sanctioned under a higher authority. Therefore, this action does not have any reaction to it. So that, in essence, in materialistic term, is what akarma means: action without reaction. Now, to understand akarma in more detail, in spiritual detail, we need to go back and understand what prescribed duties are. As I said, it's quite a large topic, so I'll give a brief overview of prescribed duties and how this relates to performing akarmic activities. So there's a nice verse, a very famous verse, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 13. Chaturvanyam. So I'll read the verse, the translation, and I'll read a few sentences from the purport, which are relevant to us. Chaturvanyam maya shrisam guna karma vibhagasaha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. I'll repeat it one more time. Chaturvanyam maya shristam guna karma vibhagasaha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the tendency of a particular man toward work is determined by the modes of material nature, which he has acquired and which is ultimately controlled by Lord Krishna. So, as I said, this was a little part of the purport, which a very nice purport that Srila Prabhupada gave. But in context of this discussion, what we understand from the word prescribed, a doctor gives a prescription, etc., is that it's a designation, and we always wonder, what is our prescribed duty? And the point, it actually takes a lot of time and a lot of understanding, as well as the mercy of Lord Krishna, and more importantly, the mercy of Lord Krishna in our hearts, to understand what our prescribed duties are. So obviously we all have our prescribed duties towards our family. A parent has a prescribed duty to care for the children. Anyone has a prescribed duty towards their parents, children, spouse, relatives, and even the wider public. But also our prescribed duties are characterized through the predispositions that we have towards certain activities and traits. And these activities and traits have been designated through the result, to the reactions and result of our previous karmas from our past lifetimes, going back for, who knows when. And these tendencies that we have through our past karma, these are according to the four divisions of human society, as mentioned in the translation. The four divisions of human society, which was created by Lord Krishna. These four divisions of human society, as we all know, is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And so prescribed duties for anyone is in line with being Brahmanical, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. And obviously, as I said, it's quite a broad topic, but we can understand that, for example, you or anyone here, they may be inclined towards certain things compared to others. You may be inclined towards studying, reading philosophy, or intellectual conversation. I may be, which is a Brahmanical, which falls under the Brahmanical category. I may be interested in physical activity, or administration, or which is Kshatriya, or I may be a very business-minded person, which is Vaishya quality. So we understand, even in this time and age, that we all have certain prescribed duties which are revealed to us, but also which we understand fall under these four, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, as well as other responsibilities and other duties that we all have, in terms of our dharma. And it's important always to never, to always follow a prescribed duty. And there's another point that we're going to come to here, that Krishna mentions in a few verses here, that it is very important for us to follow a prescribed duty. And we will get into this in more detail. Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 35. Again, I won't read the whole purport here, but I'll just give some of the relevant points from the purport. So Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 35. Shreyan swadharma vagunaha paradharmat svanushtitat swadharme nidanam shreyaha paradharma bhayavaha. Krishna says, it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though they may be faulty, than another's duties. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duty, for to follow another's path is dangerous. So we see here Krishna is telling us that it is, it's important to discharge one's prescribed duty, and to not, forsake or neglect. So Prabhupada gives a very nice purport. There was one point in particular that I thought was quite relevant here, that obviously one should therefore discharge his prescribed duty, but both materially or spiritually, one should stick to his prescribed duties, even up to death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duty. So, we all know that even in our education, we can give a clear example that we are not forced, but we are supposed to know what we want to do after we finish high school. For example, I did commerce and psychology. People here did engineering, and did various other degrees. In that sense, we have an inclination. We have certain inclinations, but we should not be, we should not leave or neglect our prescribed duties, because ultimately that won't help us in our Krishna consciousness. If I do, if I'm not interested in engineering, but I do it anyway, then that's always going to be a hindrance, because that's not my natural inclination. So even we can also give the example of, the Mahabharata and the context of the Bhagavad Gita, that, Lord Krishna told Arjuna to perform his prescribed duty as a Kshatriya and to fight. Whereas Arjuna wanted to deviate from his prescribed duty by giving everything up and going to the forest, and not wanting to fight his kinsman. So, in a very, although that is not as black and white, but, we can understand here that, prescribed duties are important. But if we perform prescribed duties with just prescribed duties in mind, then that is still falling under karma. We know of karma yogis. We know of that that whole branch of Sanatana Dharma, where they say, that excuse me, where they say that you perform your prescribed duties, and you lead a pious life, and then in your next life or in your current life, you reach a higher position, whether that be a higher planetary system in your next life, a higher social capital, more material benefit, etc. And the reason that this is under karma, and under the cycle of action-reaction, is because it is not being performed with Krishna in the center. So with this understanding of prescribed duties as being, certain predispositions as well as our duties, our dharmic duties, let's talk about akarma, which is performing action without reaction. Now, what does it mean to perform action without reaction? If any action that we do has an equal or opposite reaction, as we know. So what does it mean to not have a reaction to certain actions that we do? That means to transcend the three modes of material nature, which three modes of material nature that play influence on our activities and that play influence on our resultant karma. Is to transcend the modes of material nature and the whole karmic cycle. Now, how do we transcend the results of karmic activities? How do we transcend the results of karmic activities? It's by not being attached to the result of our prescribed duties. If everyone who has an expectation in mind when they follow, or when they perform certain actions, like, taking care of my family, doing this, doing that, in the hope that, this will increase, in whatever capacity, my own outcomes in the future. That is not what a devotee should be thinking of. They should be not being attached to the result. And there's a very, very famous verse and a very important verse in which Krishna categorically states this, which is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 47. We all know, most of us know this verse, and it's a very important verse that is where Krishna and Srila Prabhupada and the Prabhupada very nicely talks about. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbur ma te sangostva karmani. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So again, I'll just read some part of the purport here that Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, that as far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into three subdivisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. Routine work performed as an obligation in terms of the scriptural injunctions, without desire for results, is action in the mode of goodness. Performing work with results becomes the cause of bondage, so action-reaction. Therefore, such work is not auspicious. Everyone has his proprietary right in regard to performing prescribed duties, but should act without attachment to the result. Such disinterested obligatory duties doubtlessly leads one to the path of liberation. So here we can see that there are three subdivisions of prescribed duty, but the point is that we should not have any desire for results. Now, for anyone who is not a devotee or not spiritually inclined, we may think that how do we not be attached to the results of our actions? Any action we do, we have a specific outcome in mind. That is why we do the action. So how can we just not care about the result? Well, for us devotees, and for those that are spiritually inclined, we realize that we are naturally detached from the results of our actions because we recognize that everything is in Lord Krishna's control. And that is the step up from understanding that, performing prescribed duties, you should also realize that, Krishna is in control of everything. And whether you're performing prescribed duties or not, when you have that understanding and that mentality, the reactions do not matter. We'll talk in more detail of this. There are two very nice verses, which are in the same chapter, the 4th chapter of the original verse that we were talking about, which is chapter 4, text 18 and 20. I'll actually read the whole purport of chapter 4, text 18 and 20, because this gives us a very nice understanding of what it means to place Krishna at the center, and how this is akarma, which is the main topic of discussion. Karmanya karma yaha pasyed, akarmani cha karma yaha, sa buddhima manushyesu, sa yuktaha kritsna karma krit. Translation: one who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A person acting in Krishna consciousness is naturally free from the bonds of karma. His activities are all performed for Krishna. Therefore, he does not enjoy or suffer any of the effects of work. Consequently, he is intelligent in human society, even though he is engaged in all sorts of activities for Krishna. Akarma means without reaction to work. Now, this is very important. The impersonalist seizes fruitive activities out of fear, so that the resultant action may not be a stumbling block on the path of self-realization. But the personalist knows rightly his position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness because everything is done for Krishna. He enjoys only transcendental happiness in the discharge of this service. Those who are engaged in this process are known to be without desire for personal sense gratification. The sense of eternal servitorship to Krishna makes one immune to all sorts of reactionary elements of work. So Prabhupada very clearly and categorically is stating that whoever is situated in serving Lord Krishna, or even beginning the process of understanding Lord Krishna, even in Krishna consciousness, we are, or they are naturally free, as Prabhupada mentions, from the bonds of karma. Here, let's go to verse 20. Again, I'll just read a snapshot of the purport. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nirashrayaha karmanyapi pravitropi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. So Prabhupada mentions in part in the purport here that he does his duty to his best ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. This is the sign of akarma, or actions without fruitive reactions. So very important. He does his duty to his best ability and leaves everything to Krishna. We do not give up our prescribed duties. We do it, but we realize that Krishna is in control, and we leave everything to him. Now, the next point is is very important for us to understand that yes, we understand about akarma, and we understand about it's important to place Krishna in the center, etc. But how? We all know we have to perform our prescribed duties. So how do we reach the stage of akarma whilst performing our prescribed duties? Practically speaking. And through discussions with my father, I understood that we require our prescribed duties to align with our devotional service. So we do not need to give up our prescribed duties, as we said, but everyone can perform their devotional service in different ways based on their predispositions, based on their natural inclinations, their skills, their traits, etc. Srila Prabhupada has given us this ISKCON movement, has given us this understanding of Sanatana Dharma. He has packaged it in such a way that we all can fit in whatever capacity that we have. We can all serve Lord Krishna, perform devotional service, keep Lord Krishna in the center of our activities, and leave the result up to him. In that way, we are all performing our prescribed duties, in the sense that if someone, for example, may be inclined towards physical activities, they do prasadam distribution, they help in constructing temples. There's obviously a lot of ways in which we can provide examples. If someone is intellectually inclined, someone enjoys reading, they reach the Prabhupada scriptures, etc., etc. So so with that being said, that that is an important point for us to understand, is that we should, to the best of our ability, align our devotional service with our prescribed duties. With that being said, though, any devotional service we perform, whether it is in alignment with our prescribed duties or not, whether we find that I'm not inclined towards, let's say, giving reading, but yet I'm still doing it. I may be inclined towards something else. In whatever capacity you perform devotional service, even if it's not your natural inclination, it is still beneficial to you in the same capacity. So Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 7. Let me go to it just 1 second. Okay, I don't have the verse with me, but I'll read the translation and purport. Okay, thank you. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha may arpita mano buddhir mamivaisya samchayaha. Translation. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the Supreme Planet Krishna Lok without doubt. We do not need to, as mentioned, we do not need to give up our prescribed duties. We must not neglect our prescribed duties, but we must keep Krishna at the center, and we must, as we say, we give Krishna a chance. We add him in our life. But it's with all this, it's a important underpinning concept that actually, yes, performing prescribed duties, that's fine, that's correct. But bhakti yoga transcends the prescribed duties, transcends this whole action reaction. We know of Srila Gurudev's example that Maharaj at the age of Maharaj took up sannyas at a very advanced age because he performed all his prescribed duties towards his family and all the other necessary prescribed duties that Maharaj had. And only after keeping everything in good stead, and when the plate was full, then Maharaj took up sannyas and focused entirely upon Lord Krishna. So for us devotees, that every action that we do in service to the Lord, which is devoid of reaction, that is us trying to be practicing bhakti yoga, and thus we are not privy to the reaction of performing any action, whether it be prescribed duties or not. The point of, we all, there's some misconceptions a lot of the time about, the whole story of the Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna told Arjuna to perform his duty as a Kshatriya, pick up his weapons and fight. And Arjuna then performed his prescribed duty. But that's not the point. That actually, if we think about it, even Arjuna said, Shishyas mam sadi mam tvam prapanyam. He was submissively surrendered to Lord Krishna. And he took up Lord Krishna's instruction. And then he went to fight. So he was not acting on his prescribed duties. He was in the stage of Akarma, making Krishna in control. That is what Akarma is. That is what action without reaction is. Being at the stage, or practicing, at least attempting to be practicing bhakti yoga. So in a similar way, we use our nature to serve Krishna. As I mentioned, some devotees may, whatever inclinations they have, they may use that in Krishna consciousness. Some people may build temples, reading scriptures, etc., studying scriptures, cooking and cleaning. Now, let me see the time. Yeah, okay. I'd just like to conclude with a final point that it's very, as we mentioned in the introduction, that it's a very, very difficult topic, and it's very difficult to understand what action is with action and reaction, and what akarma activities are. We see that with even in Christianity, that they have a very watered down version of karma and going to heaven. They say that if you perform good activities, then you certainly go to heaven. But they in fact don't even believe in karma, and still they have this karma kand concept, that you'll go to heaven if you do good things in your life, which is not true at all. So there we can see that actually that if we don't have the understanding of akarma, of putting Krishna in the center, then our concepts are never clear. So with that being said, our actions in devotional service should be in line with the bona fide sampradaya. We do not know, if we do not have Srila Prabhupada, if we do not have a disciplic succession, then how is it possible for us to know if our actions are akarmic or not? How do we know that it's not our own mental concoction? That whatever I'm doing, I'm putting Krishna in the center. But if it's not, if what we're doing is not shastra, or if it's as I said, putting our own mental spin on things, then it's not bona fide. And it's very nicely explained in conclusion in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse 16. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayo pyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yagnatva mokshase shubhat. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. So, this is a clear indication of, how we or how anyone has to perform the devotional service, has to transcend the modes of material nature to reach or even begin to reach the stage of akarma. It has to be according to the disciplic succession. It cannot be according to our own whims and fancies. This is recommended in the 15th verse. Why such action should not be independent will be explained in the text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in a line of disciplic succession, as explained at the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. The sun god explained it to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku. And the system is current on this earth from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard of Krishna regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. If we didn't know that, for example, Srila Gurudev, that Maharaj took care of his family first, performed his prescribed duties first, and then focused entirely. Obviously, Maharaj is a pure devotee, so he was always, Krishna conscious. But the point is, if we do not have the understanding of performing a prescribed duty in the way that Maharaj did, then we wouldn't know, whether what we're doing is bona fide or not. We wouldn't have an example to follow. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. So again, Krishna instructing Arjuna is the biggest example that, perform your prescribed duty, but surrender unto me to reach a stage of akarma. Because of the direct instruction of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. So there we go. That's Prabhupada very hammering the point of disciplic succession. It is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord himself. Dharman tu sakshat Bhagavad pranitam. Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, Verse 19. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narad, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapil, Prahlad, Bhishma, Shukadev, Goswami, Yamraj, Janak, and Bali Maharaj. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So this is a very nice, concluding point that we've discussed about what is karma, what is akarma, what it means to put Krishna in the center, to not be attached to the result. But if we do not have the civic succession, bona fide spiritual masters giving us this understanding how to practically apply this knowledge, then we wouldn't know what action is and what inaction is. We would be constantly figuring out. Prabhupada actually mentions, I thought I had this written down. I did, that even impersonalists, Mayavadis, they're constantly trying to figure out that what they're performing, whether it is or whether it's in line with action without reaction, because as we know, they don't accept Krishna as a person. But personalists who are eternally, or not eternally, personalists who strive to serve Lord Krishna, have a relationship with him, they're automatically free from this material reaction. They're automatically free from karma. And Krishna reveals to you, depending on your sincerity, how to go about aligning your prescribed duties with your devotional service. Obviously, it's not easy for us to understand what our prescribed duties are, apart from the obvious duties that we have towards our family, the wider public, etc. But in terms of what our predispositions are and how to go about it in Krishna consciousness, it is slowly revealed through your sincerity by Lord Krishna. So, in conclusion, it's a very, very important topic. It's a very deep topic, but it's always important to remember that ultimately everything comes down to bona fide disciplic succession, and that being in akarma, being in a stage of akarma, means that we should, in any capacity, always put Krishna in the center, or at least be thinking about Lord Krishna, and having that intention in mind in whatever activities we do, which will ultimately help us in our devotional service and materially and spiritually as well. So that is my realizations. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If anybody has any further realizations to this topic, please share. And if anyone has any questions, I'll do my best at attempting to answer them. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Samarpana, Krishna Prabhu. Very nice. Extensively covered this topic at these points. These are not ordinary, and this is where everyone gets confused, Very nice. Thank you for that. I wanted to check with you, as before others would jump in to ask their questions or realizations. Generally, people would say that, but I'm doing good work, Why do I need your Krishna consciousness? I give some money here, I help poor people. So what's wrong with it? Ultimately, it's all good. Is the thinking correct, or is it wrong thinking? If it is correct, then why? If it is wrong, then why? Please, if you can elaborate on this point. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your question. That thinking is incorrect, because that falls under the stage of karma. And, as we mentioned before, that, we perform sukarma, pious activities, or we perform, you know, in any activity, we expect to get a reaction from it. So someone may give food to anyone. We even discussed this in our previous classes that, you know, philanthropic work, giving food to the poor, you know, giving money in charity, etc. That is not putting Krishna at the center of your actions. You are not doing it, you know, with the mind of having Krishna at the center of your life. You're just doing it because you're doing it for whatever, you know, say for argument's sake, you're doing it to perform your prescribed duty. But ultimately, you're still in the karmic cycle. You're still in the cycle of birth and death. Your next birth may be a higher birth or a lower birth, depending on what actions you perform. But you're still in that cycle. You're still privy to falling down. You haven't transcended the modes of material nature. And so devotees of, you know, practicing followers of Sanatana Dharma who understand this point, that if you keep, you know, if you understand that God, or Lord Krishna, is the controller of everything, and you know, by following the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master and serving Lord Krishna, you can transcend the cycle of birth and death. Even if you, while you perform your prescribed duties, while being Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna will fulfill whatever you know, desires you may have in your heart. Even though there may not be, you know, desires as such that, you know, I'm worshiping Krishna, therefore I wish, you know, I want to get this, that, and the other. Even desires you want to have, Krishna will provide things for you. And, you know, we have seen that in our lives. So yeah, it's incorrect to assume that, you know, if you just do philanthropic work, then, you know, then everything will be okay, because, you know, you're still accumulating karma, and you're privy to falling down in your next life, etc. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so accumulating karma means you'll be taking birth again. That's what you're trying to say. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Well, anyone else like to say something or ask questions or clarifications? Please feel free. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for your nice class and very good explanation on karma and karma, and good references from the scriptures. So makes it very clearly understanding. And I just want to share one realization that I got it from your class. That one point that stuck to me, that without this split succession, we can't recognize what we because a lot of people, as Prabhuji also said, a lot of people doing good things, you know, and thinking this is a prescribed duty or this is a good karma. That, but to even if we ourselves, if we read scriptures, we can easily be misguided. But you need to have a living guru or a mentor that you can go to and consult. So this is yeah, this is very important, that we have a connection with this split succession to recognize our prescribed duty. Otherwise, it's very hard to find out. Yes, thank you very much for your class, bro. Very nice.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, you're absolutely right. Actually, Prabhupada mentions in one of his purports as well that you know, the guru, they help you, as you rightly mentioned, very correctly mentioned, they help you understand your prescribed duty. And that's why the civic succession is very important. Otherwise, you may not have any idea about what your prescribed duty is. So that's very correct. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for such a nice class. I had a question, a clarification. So you quoted the Bhagavad Gita verse 4.18, right? So if you can just open that up. So I'll just go forward with the question, I guess. So yeah, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada are saying that so a person acting in Krishna consciousness is naturally free from the bonds of karma. His activities are all performed for Krishna, right? So like when we are beginning bhakti, like we are at the neophyte stage, it's not possible that all our activities are for Krishna, right? For example, like I get some pocket money or I'm earning something. I might spend some part of the money, or let's say some of my activities are for Krishna, but then since I'm not so purified, I might also tend to do activities for my own self. For example, not against the four regulative principles per se, but let's say I get some pocket money and I go out and eat some pizza or something, like without onion garlic, but I go out and eat that for my own sake, right? So so what is this? Is this a karma or is this also karma? Like, what am I getting sins for it? Like, because I'm also in the process of devotional service, I'm trying to purify myself. But not all my activities are for Krishna. So do I get reactions or not? Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your question. It's actually a very relevant point, because we all face the same thing, that it's not possible for us, at least for me, to constantly engage in Krishna consciousness or act in a Krishna conscious way. And you may allow certain liberties for yourself to do. There's actually a verse that Prabhupada talks about, where Prabhupada says that, or Lord Krishna says that even if someone performs activities which are not akarmic, but they're still in some way connected to Krishna consciousness, then even if they may not reach, let's say, liberation, say you do something very bad, but you're in some way connected to the Krishna consciousness, in whatever stage of your life, and you fall down, you will still, in your next birth or in whatever case, you will still have that progress of Krishna consciousness with you, and you will still be able to continue. Now, that is obviously a very extreme example. For, as you said, if you may, allow certain liberties, like you may go out to eat pizza, or whatever, go out partying with your friends. Is that a hindrance to your devotional service? Obviously, the action is not akarmic in nature, because whatever action you do has that reaction. But if you are still practicing Krishna consciousness, then Krishna very mercifully will protect you, because as we've always mentioned, that that Krishna keeps a checklist at the time of your death, and whatever actions you perform for Lord Krishna, or whatever Krishna conscious activities you perform, goes with you. It's actually said that any even if you perform some amount of devotional service in your life, that will be that is very beneficial. The point is, though, that we have to recognize when we're doing certain things that are so-called deviating away. So once we recognize that oh, we're partying, we're doing this thing, but we come back home and we say, Lord Krishna, I'm very very sorry that I've done this, or that I've chosen certain liberties for myself. But at the end of the day, you're chanting your rounds, you're reading the scriptures, and you're trying every effort to better yourself and detach yourself. Then then obviously it is progress. To be honest, I'm also struggling with this. Obviously, being of the same age, we all have certain things that come with being in that age. But the point is our intention. That at the end of the day, we shouldn't forget our disciplic succession. We shouldn't forget to perform in any capacity a devotional service. And Krishna very mercifully will provide us with that understanding. If anyone else would like to add on to the point, anyone more experienced than me, please do so. That would be very, very nice to hear your realizations on this point, because it's quite a very good question.
Yeah. I think it was a good question and a very good answer, Krishnadas. Also, how about this point that ultimately that is where we have to reach, that we do not gratify our senses. We said we gratify Krishna's senses only. And we are at the level of purification of doing that. I mean, we cannot go straight to that level straight away. So if we falter at the initial those stages, it may take us few months, it may take us few years, it may take us few lifetimes. Choice is ours. Krishna doesn't interfere that you have to do this. That's why Krishna says to Arjuna, this is what you're supposed to do. Become 100% my devotee. Only then you can come back to my abode. Stop repetition of birth and death. Only then you can stop it. Otherwise you'll be born again. Higher planets, good karma. Lower planets, bad karma. Middle planets, good and bad karma both. So it is up to us how much we want to have sense control and self-control, and how fast we want to progress on this. So yes, we can enjoy if we want to. And if you say, yes, I had enough enjoyment now, after a certain age, I want to stop it, or now itself I want to stop it because I don't know when I'm going to die. So we are our own, we have, as I say, we have got destiny in our hands, we can choose that. What do you think of this? Is this?
Yes, Prabhuji, that is quite explanatory in itself, both the answers. So yeah, I got it. I got the concept behind.
Anyone else, please feel free. We are a little above time, but it's okay. We have the young one giving the class today, and the sort of interest here. So that's what we want to do: encourage the next generation. Please feel free if you have anything to say.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Prabhu. I've seen you growing, and you're. I have learned a lot of things from you in the process. And let me tell everyone that taking birth in a devotee family is not ordinary. Number one. Number two, in spiritual life, age has no meaning. It doesn't matter who gives the knowledge, what age he has got. It's how realized that person is, that soul is. That Sukdev Goswami was so young when he was reciting Bhāgavatam. So age has nothing to do. So he's not young, Prabhu. He's a mature person. And the point you covered, Prabhu, I normally am in touch with about from 10 to 15 people. I am always on the WhatsApp talking to them and trying to use my little bit of knowledge, experience. And this is a common question which come all the time. What do I do now? Whether it is Divyanshi, whether it is Parth, whether it is Soumya, whether it is somebody else, is it right or is it wrong? And this concept you actually touched upon, karma, vikarma, and akarma, is so important. How do you actually understand? So, and in fact, in nutshell, you have spoken entire Bhagavad Gita. This is the instruction Krishna was giving, that what you should do. So you have very nicely covered it. You have given good references, and there is, and as you rightly said, and as Parth Prabhu also means, the most important thing is that in this process, the association, the discipline succession, that is the key. And that's where, whenever I come across with anybody who's interested in learning this knowledge, I tell them, this is a class we have got every week happening. Week in, week out, we are always doing it. So if you want to learn this, what to do, what not to do, this is the best place to learn. And that's why all those people actually they love it. I don't know how they come, but they always come. So thank you, Krishna Prabhu and Amrish Prabhu. I think you should engage him more often, because we can see that this younger generation is growing and they're maturing. So we should give them more opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. With your blessings, he will. Anything can happen to Vishnu's blessings.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your kind encouragement throughout all these years. Always, you and Mataji, always inspirational to me and always encouraging me. Thank you very much, Prabhu. And yes, you're absolutely right. Our generation, this topic is very important for us because, we have so many, social situations that we get into. We're expected to fulfill so many expectations, that it's important to understand how to navigate through everything, to know whether, what reactions will come from our actions, and, how do we overcome these things. So the younger we learn about these things and the younger we recognize it, I think, as you all rightly mentioned, the important thing is obviously the disciplic succession and, the association of devotees. And the reason why that is important is because then we can recognize what activities we are doing. We can keep mindful of certain things, that, am I deviating from the path? To what extent am I serious? What can I do better? This only comes with association, because you have people to look up to, like yourself, like my parents, like Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, obviously, and my grandma, who's also here, and all the other devotees. That there's always, there's always standards, and with the civic succession and with parampara, you understand, what the standards really are. Because if you don't have any association, you don't know the benchmark. You don't know how to navigate through anything. So yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu, once again, for your very nice encouragement. As always, I appreciate it very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Samarpana, Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much for a very nice class. Actually, yeah, when I actually saw the topic, on the WhatsApp yesterday, I was very eager to hear, because we see you as inspiration. Actually, I still remember actually when I first time came into the program, that was at your Amrish Prabhu's house, in Avandal. So I saw you actually, you were very small at that time, and you were playing Mridanga. And actually, Kirtan was going, and I keep staring at you. I said, how come such a small child is playing very nicely? We don't even know. And so you have actually inspired me from very beginning, Prabhuji. And as Avinash Prabhu mentioned, it's not ordinary. And I'm actually I have actually seen you, how you actually grown up, and I'm pretty confident that actually you will actually go a long way and probably fulfill the dream of your father and Guru Maharaj as well, Srila Prabhupada. So from the class, actually, it's very nice realization, Prabhuji. Even actually, as I said, actually, even for the Navina, actually, I always give you your example, because she always argue with me whenever I actually try to tell her to chant, and she says, "Oh, I will only chant according to my age." So now, if I go next year, 9 years, I will chant 9 rounds and all that. So I always say, look at Krishna Samarpana, he was chanting 16 rounds from the age of 5. You should chant now. So certainly you're a great inspiration for all the children and to us as well. So actually, going back to class, Prabhuji, you referred to the verse 2.47, obviously very famous verse, and I also struggle with that verse quite a lot. Means I did ask questions to Amrish Prabhu as well in the past, actually, so one thing is actually doing the actual materialistic thing, and actually, even if you're doing, actually, as verse says, that we should not actually attach to the results, we should always give results back to Krishna. So I was thinking on that point, and it's very hard unless you actually, in the material life, if you want to achieve anything, always first thing came as actually what I want to achieve, so the result comes first before you actually start the action. So actually, I always initially I struggled to actually get actually realize this concept of actually putting the efforts 100%, but not actually attached to the result. So it's slowly I'm realizing. But even for the devotional things, when we do devotional activities like chanting, or actually you prepare for a class, or you give a class, you do any devotional service, but you always again have the actually aim in the mind. I want to give a class today, so actually what I want to achieve. So is that attachment is also become a hindrance, Prabhuji? I just wanted to understand more on that point.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. First of all, thank you very much for your very kind words. You've always been inspiration to me as well, you and your entire family. Navina as well. She's all growing up very quickly. So thank you very much for your constant encouragement. I'm sure you know the answer to this, and the point is very correct, actually, that, even in devotional service, we always have an outcome. At least I have an outcome in mind that, I'm giving a class today. I want to achieve this. I want to achieve that. As you know, that when we're situated in anything devotional, we are ridding ourselves from, reaction. So if we perform activities in devotional service, then what is our intention? What are we looking to gain from it? Are we looking to gain some spiritual progress? If I give a class, am I looking to further my understanding of Lord Krishna? If I'm if I'm playing Mridanga, am I doing it to show off, or am I doing it to please the Lord? What is my intention? What am I looking to get out of that? So with this, ultimately, as you know, obviously, that when we perform our devotional actions with the intention of pleasing the Lord, with the intention of constant surrender and service to the Lord, then we are, building towards the stage of Akarma, through not being, privy to any reactions that are, sinful, even sukarma actions. So yeah, as you know, as most of the devotees here know, that when we reach this devotional stage of devotion in any capacity, whether we're neophytes, whether we're advanced, whatever our intention is, we always talk about intention as being the importance. So yeah, in that situation, we're free from the material bondage. So I hope that's the correct answer. If you've all got any other points you'd like to share, please. Hare Krishna.
Okay, if anyone else wants to say anything, we are running out of time now for this class. So to start the next class now, next program. Please feel free to jump in.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Yeah, I think somebody else also unmuted their mic. I'm sorry if I interrupted you. Should I go?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
We'll have Sushi.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It was really inspiring to watch you speak, especially since you're Magaji and you're giving such a nice class. It was honestly really inspiring. So I had one question that you said that in all your prescribed duties, you should keep Krishna in the center, right? And always keep thinking of Krishna and perform your devotional services nonetheless. But what if your prescribed duties are like so engaging that they leave very little time out for your devotional service? Like, what if your job has like insane work hours and then you have to come back and then you have to maintain your apartment, cook food, clean, do everything else, and like you have some other important thing that needs to be done, like family obligations or studies, like higher studies, whatever it is. So like, what if all of these things take up so much time that they leave very little for your, devotional service? Like you're barely able to complete your rounds. You're like, playing the game of catch up. So like, what to do in situations like these?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very much for your kind words, and also very nice question. That actually, I had the same question when I was, preparing for this class. I'll say a little bit of my answer, but I'd like to ask my father for further clarification. But ultimately, in whatever we're doing, we always talk about in a practical way, not in an impractical way, but in a practical way, adding Krishna slowly into your life. So I've also been in situations where it's very difficult for me to do any form of Krishna consciousness. I may, studying at university, you pretty much study the whole day. If you have exams coming up, how do you even chant your rounds? But for me, it's funny because I used to always chant my rounds in whatever scenario. But the point is that I was told by my father, because I asked him the same question, that Krishna will give you will make it easier for you once he sees your intention. If you're looking to, in whatever capacity, at whatever case, practically perform some amount of devotional service. Example, if we have insane work hours, but we get up in the morning before we go to work, we offer diya to the Lord. You cook some food to eat for yourself. You offer to the Lord. Any spiritual activity that we do in any capacity, Krishna will recognize that. And ultimately, if we are sincere, as far as my understanding is, which may not be perfect, but as far as my understanding is, Krishna will make it easy for us, and Krishna will reveal to us how we perform our devotional service. I understand that it's very easy to say, but it's not very easy to perform, and I've certainly struggled with it as well, and am struggling with it. So I would like to ask my father, Vishnu, if he could please provide some further clarification.
No, you gave very nice. It was a good question, Divyanshi. It was a good answer, Krishnadas. It's very good. I'm very satisfied with you as well, Krishnadas, and all our intermediate and beginners program. That accepting God as a person and having one-on-one relationship with Krishna is very crucial, and that's what you are doing, and you're convinced about it. Krishna will, over a period of time, when he sees, he'll keep it easy for you. Not immediately, because we have to understand that we've woken up and say, hey, Krishna, I'm your devotee, and still I'm not perfect devotee. All these many years we are just enjoying, or in previous lifetimes, we have not done. So it takes a bit of time, and he sees our intentions for sure. And we have got straight relationship with Krishna. Prayers work wonders. I always say that. So, with whatever time we have got, I'll tell you one thing with practical example. When we have people who are brand new, who we train to come to Krishna consciousness, they say, we can't chant one round. There's no time. What are you talking about? We've got family to take care of. I've got business to do. I don't have time. So just start one round. And after about 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, whenever they go serious, then chant 16 rounds. So that one round which is not possible, now 16 rounds is easy. And then over a period of time, we say, now you must perform full Mangala Aarti at home, and that takes about 45 minutes. So from no time to chant one round, they are doing 16 rounds, they're doing 40, full Mangala Aarti, they study the books, they grow up the children, the business expands. It's not that business comes down, everything expands. So we also expand, our capacity expands. This is what I can tell you with personal experience, But never give up. This is the one important thing. And try to, when your material activities expand, your spiritual activities should also expand. That has been my personal experience, and you will see miracles in your life. Stunning. You don't have miracles, doesn't mean money only. You will be satisfied. You will have enough. You will have much more than what you want, And every time also, enough time, no problem. Less time, I need to do more devotional service, This is what I can say. There are others also here, very senior devotees. Please, if you'd like to share something, this is a very good point. Your tutor is also here, so they can Shiksha Guru. See, he can also say, please feel free to jump in and say a few words if you want to,
I think, Prabhuji, both of you have actually very nicely covered. Divyanshi, have you got the answer?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So, Amrish Prabhu, and I don't think I need to say anything. It's so nicely covered. Yeah, no, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Krishna, thank you for the nice clarification there. I think Shuchi, Mataji had something to say.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. It is a very good, nice class. Thank you for such a great realization and explanation. But I have one query that you said that when we do philanthropic activities, but it's not Krishna centered. So it's just about accumulating karma. But if one does a compassionful activity, yes, with not the intention to show off towards mankind and humanity, doesn't it please Krishna, or it doesn't, or it does? That's my question, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji, for your question. Once again, I'll try my best to provide an answer, but I'd encourage any of the senior devotees to also give their realizations on this. It's a very good question, actually, because if we perform any action, for example, feeding people, giving food to the poor, giving money in charity, helping someone on the street, and we're not doing that with any intention other than to please Lord Krishna, how is that? How is that karmic activity? And it's true. We also in our program, we also do food distribution. We also feed food to the poor. It is not a philanthropic activity because we're doing it. For example, we offer the sanctified prasadam to the Lord, and and we package the program in a way that which gives them a little dose of Krishna consciousness. If you help someone on the street, as we mentioned about defining what a prescribed duty is, you have certain duties towards your family. You may have also certain duties towards the wider public. If you see someone that needs help, you help them. But if you do this in mind of pleasing Lord Krishna, then it's not a negative activity. It's not something that's vikarma. I would, in this point, I would like to ask any devotee, senior devotee, to provide some more information on this. But as far as I'm aware, if you do anything, any activity that you do, and if you do it to please Lord Krishna, then that is you situated in a position of Krishna consciousness in whatever capacity, whether it's an elevated position or whether you're a neophyte. But in any capacity, if you're doing anything to serve Lord Krishna, whether it be giving someone food, whether it be doing anything or anything, that is Krishna consciousness. Krishna will recognize that. Krishna won't say that, oh, this is karmic activity, as far as I know. If anyone else would like to share their realizations on.
Can I answer this question, Prabhu? Yeah. Suchi, it's a very nice question. So can I put this question into context that you are talking about giving somebody food on what basis? Can you give example what we're talking about?
Prabhuji, there are many institutions, just like SCON give prasadam to people, and with compassion, of course, not to show off. And there are many other institutions or many other NGOs, or we can say any social gathering, which gives something or the other to society, not to show off, but to have a compassionful hand towards somebody else. So it was like, does it please Krishna also? Because when we say that everybody has the essence of God in them, so does it or doesn't it?
Suchi, I've seen this happening in India when I was back in India a few years before, and people will go in hospitals and people will go and feed to poor, and they don't want to be recognized. When I was trying to start this activity in Chhindwara, MP, and those people say, no, we don't want anything, but we just give food. So I asked them that, why you are doing this? So at the end of the day, they were actually trying to satisfy and feel happy. They were trying to make themselves happy. they're trying to satisfy. This discussion came. They're actually satisfying their ego, and they were trying to get some good karma for their parent, for their this and that. So all those philanthropy activity where people give all those donations, they have got some hidden motive if it is not Krishna. Even with prasadam activity, if like as Krishna Prabhu said, if you're not giving a dose of Krishna, then it is again we are satisfying our ego. That's what I have seen happening in India. And not only India, there's a lot of donations happening and people make you emotionally feel good and you want to donate those kind of things. That's a lot of, but to me, that's nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. That is to satisfy our mind only. That's what I feel. Hare Krishna. Did I answer correctly, Suchi? Is that correct, or you have got any other doubt?
No, it's satisfying. Satisfying.
Thank you, Suchi. Thank you, Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, anyone else want to say something? We are yes,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, just like I had this thing came in my mind, like the previous Suchi Mataji asked about compassion, right? And Avinash Prabhu cleared how compassion could be subtle sense gratification. I read somewhere that like even compassion, like it seems like a very good quality, but if it's not in Krishna's favor, then it's not a very good quality. For example, Arjuna in the field at the start of like Mahabharata war, he was feeling compassionate for all the Kauravas out there, and Krishna scolded him for that. That are you out of your mind? You should not feel compassionate for them. So I think compassion, if it's not dovetailed to Krishna, then even compassion is not so good. So I think that is what I wanted to share.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, that's a very good point. It's a very good point. That even compassion, if it's not situated in Krishna consciousness, it cannot be, not necessarily a very good activity. Just one thing with Arjuna and Krishna scolding him for not for feeling compassionate about not fighting the Kauravas. For all of us, it's important to recognize that Arjuna was not performing his prescribed duty. He was deviating from his prescribed duty. What he was talking like was Brahmanical in nature, but Arjuna was a Kshatriya. So in whatever we do, we have to understand, obviously, how do we know what our prescribed duties are? But the point to note is that Arjuna was deviating from his prescribed duty, and Krishna made him recognize what his prescribed duty was, and through that, and then Arjuna submissively surrendered to Lord Krishna. So, as you rightly pointed out, that if we don't understand, that Krishna is at the center of everything, if we're not compassionate with Krishna in consideration, then in essence we are not performing our duties correctly. So yeah, your point is very correct. Thank you for sharing that, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Actually, as Avinash Krishna Prabhuji quoted, that sometimes people do not take things, or they just do things for their own sense gratification. But as sometimes we do the activity to please Krishna, or be the activity centered to Krishna, but sometimes the people do not take it as that. So we do that thing as of pleasing Krishna, but the person who is receiving is not with that intention or that mood. So that's that also comes in accumulation of karma, or you are doing something with pure intention to please Krishna. So that, is there any difference, or is there any separation in that?
Hare Krishna.
Oh, sorry, Mataji. Please continue.
Sorry, Prabhuji. I know the question is to Prabhuji. I just wanted to interrupt here before Prabhuji answers the question.
The first point is that, Krishna Samarpana, Krishna Prabhu, rightly you pointed out that it is about disciplic succession and how you know whether the activities you're performing are correct or not. So Suchi, there is a list of 100,000 activities that may be very good. Are they good for Krishna consciousness or not? For that, we have to fall back upon the disciplic succession and see what they have done and follow in the footsteps. For example, the activity by itself might be very good, and anything that is good, you will get a sukarma for it, but it is still binding you in that process of life and birth, and you have to come back to enjoy the benefits of that karma also. Here we are talking about Krishna consciousness, where we want to transcend that position, and whether it's anything good or bad, we don't want that to affect us, so we don't come back to this cycle of birth and death. And the point, I think, is that we may think that this is very good and I'm doing it. You may also do it with a very good heart, but ultimately, whether it pleases Krishna or not, that question can be answered by looking at the disciplic succession. You look at Srila Prabhupada, you look at Srila Gurudev, what have they done and what are the activities they have done, and then if we do similar activities, then that is actually going to help us. So that was a point I just wanted to bring about. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, Prabhuji.
Yes, Suchi, yes, Mataji very nicely answered the question. Is any other question about Suchi?
Yes, Mataji really quoted very well. Was
Yes.
very fun.
And I don't want to say anything. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I think, thank you, Pranamagi Mataji, for that very nice explanation. Suchi Mataji, if I'm not wrong, did you ask about that what if you do some Krishna conscious activity, or you provide some guidance, I think that's what you were mentioning, to someone, and they don't accept it as as if you're doing it with Krishna in your heart and they don't accept it, does that fall under karma? Am I right in understanding that as your question?
Yes, Prabhuji. It was.
Okay. I'd like to ask my father to answer this. Just before that, though, I think, not I think, but ultimately, even in preaching, right? We preach Krishna consciousness. We attempt to preach. Are we doing it for other people? Or are we doing it for ourselves? We are always doing things for ourselves. In the sense of progressing in Krishna consciousness, we preach to improve our own understanding. If you're giving some gnan, if you're giving some sanctified knowledge to someone and they don't accept it, it's on them. But what is, you have not done it with the intention of increasing your pride or increasing your social capital or whatever. You're doing it with the intention of spreading Krishna consciousness. That is my understanding. But that doesn't mean that if someone is not interested, you continuously, go and, convince them and instruct someone who's faithless. But if you're sincere in your endeavor to please Lord Krishna by your actions, and if the person that you're doing it for or you're trying to teach is not accepting of that, then that is up to them. As far as as you are concerned, you are trying to improve your Krishna consciousness, and as long as you're trying to do that, and as long as you're not trying to do it with the intention of you being a teacher and other people following you. So that is my understanding. I think Ambrish Prabhu or Purnapragya Mataji or anyone else can probably give you a better answer there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Krishna Samarpana, Krishna Prabhu. I think just one sentence and just one point that really, I think, explains and sums it up is, Suchi, you asked if the other person that you are doing the service to may be pleased or not. The most important point here is that whatever we do in Krishna consciousness, is to please our Guru and Krishna. And it's, then everyone else will be eventually satisfied. So we have to be very clear who we want to please in Krishna consciousness. Of course, I mean the devotees and everything also, but basically this principle is very important. Hare Krishna.
I think we have this question answers went very well, and it is going on very well. So it's nearly now, we're taking to the second class is nearly done now. So might as well we get some more nectar of this discussion only. So with everyone's permission, this topic of discussion which is going on at the moment about if we do philosophic activities, whether it is good or bad. So all answers which have been given are very wonderful. It answers everyone's question, And the primeval basis of doing good comes from the good heart of a person, whether a person is a devotee or not a devotee. That's what my understanding is. So if you're doing good, it's very good. You will get good karma for this. And good karma meaning what? You will get a higher birth next time. You're born as a rich person, you'll be born in a higher planet as a demigod, or whatever you get from there, A devotee, the difference between a thinking of as a person who is doing it without Krishna at the center is that a devotee is doing this only out of love for Krishna. How is that? It is this way. A devotee sees that, okay, this person is poor, this person doesn't have food to eat. Krishna has given me enough food grains for myself. So I will help this person. Because Krishna's child anyways. Food grains also Krishna. So I'll cook, I'll offer to Krishna, and with it, I'll give this food, this prasadam to this person. So the action which a non-devotee performs, a devotee also performs, but the value changes. Everything becomes spiritualized. So the devotee who is doing the service also benefits, and the person who's been given service of giving prasadam also benefits. Okay? So the main objective of a devotee doing this is just out of love for Krishna. Now, out of love for Krishna is very emotional too. Oh, I love Krishna. Something not that way. Loving Krishna meaning entering Krishna's heart, and Krishna enters a devotee's heart. It is not emotional. This is very practical. And people have experienced that. So, yes, a person who may be just a philanthropic person is doing good activities, obviously is going to get good results. It's a good person. But also that person may have hidden motive, as Avinash Prabhu has said. Most of the time, people do it to feel good. I feel good about it. Many times devotees also do it to feel good. So even that feeling good for a devotee also adds karma. But it may not be as heavy as those who are non-devotees. Because devotees also at a stage of purification. But because they are devoted, they come under Krishna's vision. And Krishna can overlook, it's his authority. To say that, okay, this person has got a hidden motive, wants to promote himself, but still is doing it, purifying himself. That's all right. Slowly he'll be purified. But ultimately, we all love. We do this out of our love and affection for Krishna, where devotee does not know anyone except Krishna as God, and he is a supreme deity to worship. Not husband, not children, not wife, not father, not mother. Only Krishna. So, will our action help us to perform those actions? That we should keep in mind. That is the underlying concept which I believe we should have always in performing some action or in seeing other people's actions are good or bad. Whether this will give us remembrance of Krishna and whether this will create in our heart that love for Krishna, where antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. If I die right now, will I be remembering Krishna or will I be remembering my greatness? So this is the point which I believe we must be very focused on. Everything else will be answered by this. Because even with devotees also, because we are not sufficiently purified, we will always bring it upon us for our benefit. And that also is not beneficial for our bhakti. Only we and Krishna knows what is in our heart. Sometimes even we don't know what is in our heart. It's because of nature, second nature. So I just wanted to share this as an overall thing. Is this okay? What I mentioned?
Yes, thank you very much, Prabhu. Suchi, does this answer your question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Prabhuji. That was the satisfying answer. Thank you so much, Amrish Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, I've got a question to Suchi, Prabhu. Suchi, sorry, Prabhu, just quickly ask her to. So, Suchi, what activity you do? I know ISKCON Prasad distribution in Nagpur, and you're in Nagpur. So, you are doing some activity yourself, or what you do? Why this question came?
Not in ISKCON, of course. I'm not doing prasadam activity in ISKCON for now, but I'll wish to someday. But yes, but we actually do some social activity with actually my mother and father is actually into the zone of doing something good for people. But yeah, that question just came into mind, not for that we do or someone else, but it just arised my mind that as Jay Prabhuji told that or quoted that previously, so it just came into my mind.
That's okay, Amna. Thank you.
It's very good. You must do it, Suchi. Very nice. Just add Krishna in it now, and just following the process. Keep following the process. It's very good. Very good. Mayuresh, you said you spoke very nicely. You want to say something? How is you settled down in India now? Can you hear us?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. Yeah, I couldn't unmute my mic earlier, Prabhu, so I got the message. Yeah, Prabhu, yeah, settling in here. So actually, I'm traveling to Karnataka.
Oh, your voice is a bit.
So I was listening while.
It's a bit unclear. Mayuresh, your voice is a bit unclear. I think the connection is a bit faulty there.
So it was the bit jumbling. I was coming in.
We can't hear you, Mayuresh. Sorry, we can't hear you. But you have written in the chat, so we could read that. Thank you very much. But I can't hear you unless the connection is a bit better.
Hare Krishna, Mahesh Prabhu. Sorry, your connection is a bit, it's a bit coming and going. It's a bit laggy. But in reference to, first of all, I hope you had a safe trip, and nice to hear that you settled down well. In reference to your message, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Certainly no inspiration to anyone. But you've also inspired me very much with your kind association. So thank you very much for your very nice words, Prabhu. I'm not sure if it's a connection issue or something with you, because when you're speaking, it kind of trails off at the end. So I'm not sure what the issue there is. Maybe some lag or something. But thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
He can hear us. Okay, that's good. Hare Krishna. So with this also another point comes as Mano Seva is not Madhav Seva. That one point is there. Yes, we can help others, that's good. But it's not Madhav Seva. Madhav Seva is loving devotional service to Krishna. That's the point. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, anyone else has to say anything? Otherwise, I think we can finish the discussion today. We are nearly done for 2 hours as well, the second class, second program. Okay, 1 minute, there's somebody. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Krishna Prabhu and Krishna Prabhu, for your very nice class. It is like first time I heard you giving a full class. I remember when I first saw you, maybe 10 years before. And I exactly remember what I first heard. It was Damodar month. And then you sang the whole Damodar Ashtak. And I was very much amazed at how you personally remember that, because initially even I can sing that now, but at that time I was very much that how, it's such a long prayer. And then I was so much inspired that, and then since that time I was just trying to feel like so that I can, like our children through us, through our devotional service can become a little bit like that, So you were such a great inspiration, Prabhuji. And thank you so much for your guidance throughout these years, Prabhuji. Just that I want to say. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. No, I'm not at all qualified here. I'm feeling very embarrassed. But no, thank you very much for your very nice encouragement and kind words. I'm certainly no inspiration or guide for anybody. In fact, your children, Madhav and Subhadra, are very, very inspiring to us. And to me, especially, to see them singing Maharaj prayers, to the finishing of their prayers, and so on and so forth. It's beautiful. It's very inspiring for me as well. And it's all down to your and Prabhuji's guidance and your sincerity in your devotional service. And once again, thank you very much for your encouragement through all these years, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Samarpana Prabhu. Thank you very much for your today's nice class. I also read when I read yesterday Prabhuji's message that you are going to do the class, and I was like, I told first time to my Prabhuji is going to give the class now. And like very, very happy to see that one. And I actually want to congratulate to Amrish Prabhu and Mataji as well. They always like, whenever I saw you first time, you are a very, very obedient child. And I had so many experiences that I seen you like a very young child. You listen to your parents well. When I my mother, even when she came here, and we were talking about always we talk about you at home as well, like how nicely he listened to his parents, how nicely he follows the parents, and child should be like that. Even she talk about your parents as well, like family should be like, she always say family should be like that. So and you always inspired to us as well, and my daughter especially. We always, as my Prabhuji said, that we always give her your example, like you should be like that, So thank you very much to setting that nice example in front of us. Thank you, Amrish Prabhu and Mataji. You always guide to us how to guide our children as well. So I hopefully we will follow your instruction, and then would like to see Navina like a Krishna Samarpana Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Namrata Mataji, for your very nice encouragement. As always, you've always been very encouraging, you and Srila Prabhu, to me. Thank you very much. Yeah, once again, quite overwhelmed at hearing this, but Navina is an inspiration to us all. In fact, at her age, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. She's really become a warrior for for Lord Krishna, and no, it's wonderful. Thank you very much, Mataji. I really appreciate your words, and in no way am I inspiring to anyone. I'm gathering inspiration from all of you wonderful devotees who are very steadfast in your devotional service, and I've got many things to learn from all of you. So thank you for your encouragement and all your guidance. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Samarpan, Krishna Prabhu. Our Krishna Samarpan Prabhu, Krishna Prabhu has got so much knowledge. And I'm so much glad to see him speaking today. And very authoritatively he has spoken and answered all the questions so nicely. I'm very glad, very glad. It's all Gurudev's mercy. Of course, Amrish Prabhu and Mataji is always behind your success, but Srila Gurudev's mercy is always on you, and Krishna's mercy is there, Srila Prabhupada's mercy is there. Thank you, Prabhuji, for a very nice class, and we are going to hear more classes from you now. So you are inspiring all the youth in this class, and everywhere, wherever the youths are hearing you in the whole world. So I wish you all the best. And yes, I'll always pray for you that you become a very successful preacher. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Saraswati Mataji, for your very, very kind words and very kind encouragement. You and Avinash Prabhu have, for all these years since I was growing up, as far back as I can remember, you're always, part of our, little team. And, you've always been very encouraging towards me, always, which I'm very, very grateful for. And, you're all certainly very, very inspiring to me as well. And yeah, I'm not worthy of such praise at all. But thank you very much, Saraswati Mataji, for your very nice encouragement. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
It is all Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Maharaj will be so pleased. Hare Krishna. Okay, I think we should come to an end this program now. We'll just wait for 10 more seconds, and we can sing. Kanchan has raised her hand. Sorry, yes, Kanchan, you want to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for today's wonderful lecture. Actually, it has enlightened me a lot. Not enlightened me, certain things I feel like we already know, but it becomes little tough, or maybe just say little hard for us to implement. What Krishna Samarthan Krishna Prabhuji has told about prescribed duties is something that woke me up, or something that I needed to know or needed to listen today. Since at work also, I feel like sometimes I really feel like, since I'm not doing more chanting, since I'm not engaging myself into the devotional services, I feel like maybe can I take an off today and just do my chanting. I really feel like, because I work in the hospital, so it doesn't provide that particular atmosphere where I can chant, or sometimes even reading becomes difficult there, because every now and then people are there to, and it is necessary for us to remain Krishna conscious even at work by performing our prescribed duties. So I'm really grateful to him for enlightening me on that. And all the glories to our Sri Radha Krishna and Jai Srila Prabhupada. And I consider myself highly blessed to be associated with you, pure souls. And thank you so much for being here with me and encouraging me to grow in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Kanchan Mataji. No, thank you very much for your kind words. I'm in no capacity to enlighten anyone. It is all due to the mercy of Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, all the Vaishnavas. On the point where you're mentioning actually about performing performing your duties, and it's very difficult to navigate through even doing some amount of devotional service. When I was preparing for this lecture, I was that is exactly how I felt as well. That when I was preparing for the lecture, reading through all the verses of what Srila Prabhupada was saying, and I also, as you mentioned, you felt very enlightened by hearing these words of Srila Prabhupada and in the Bhagavad Gita. I also felt the same because I do not, it cleared out so many doubts for me as well about how we go about, performing our prescribed duties, and the understanding that Krishna is, Krishna has his, our best interest at heart. Otherwise, how can we say that, if we perform anything in recognizing or keeping Krishna at the center, then we are free from the material bondage, when we are sincere. So yeah, it was very enlightening for me as well when I was going through all these wonderful references that Srila Prabhupada was saying, and of course all the mercy from all the Vaishnavas and all the knowledge that I've gained through this program here as well. So thank you very much, Mataji, for your very kind words. And yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Oh, also, sorry, Prabhuji. Also, my aunt is here, Bhaktamasi. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining us. She's also been very, very inspiring to me. Her entire family, our family, her children, they sing the seed verses of Bhagavad Gita so nicely, and their, the pronunciation is absolutely perfect. It's quite incredible. English and in Sanskrit as well. And they also know all a lot of chapters of the Bhagavad Gita as well. So Praktamasi and her children Jaydev and Janvi, they're fantastic. And yeah, so thank you very much for joining us. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Jay, Krishna Prabhu, I jumped into your discussion. Just quickly about Kanchan Mataji. Kanchan Mataji has been very, what do you call it? He has recently been in our group, invited through Mukunda, and she also went to Vrindavan and all those things, and she kept informing me, and I insisted her to read books. And what had happened, Kanchan Mataji and Mukunda Prabhu both actually daily report to me that how many rounds they have done, what books they have read, what chapter they are reading, even means whatever. So they are actually trying to make me responsible or informing me so that they follow schedule that I have to report to someone. So what I tell them that the best way is to actually be part of this family, which has actually this weekend movement actually they're building up, and so that it is a full package. And it's learning is part of it, and it's not only learning those bookish knowledge, it's all about practicing those knowledge. And that's what we learn most importantly in this discussion, that how to practice these kind of things, those practical things. So Kanchan Mataji has been very sincerely sending me all those her devotion activities, and they sometimes say we could not do it. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to her and be part of this weekend as much as you can, and take the benefit out of it. And there are so many nice devotees, so many Matajis, so many experienced people that you will never get those kind of information and knowledge from anywhere else. That's my personal reaction. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so should we come to the conclusion of the programs today? It's already 8 o'clock now. here in New Zealand. Whose turn is it today to sing Maharaj, Maharaj? Please hear us. Navina, you sang last week's Navina. You're always there, not to worry. Okay. So we've got
Hare Krishna, Babuji.
Haribol.
Subhadra will sing today, sir.
ठीक है आप Subhadra?
See Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, madam.
Hare Krishna, madam.
Subi, no. Oh, Dolly?
Let's start now.
Please, no noise.
Let's start.
Yes.
Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us.
Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us.
We have done some real good stuff.
We have done some real good stuff. Maharaj, we have learned one thing.
For you, we will sing.
And today for you, we will sing. If our room is clean,
then our mind is clean.
then our mind is clean. If our mind is clean, we can do anything.
If our room is dirty,
If our room is dirty, then so are we.
But if we are dirty,
If we are dirty,
we're not happy.
we're not happy.
Wasting
Wasting
time
time
is the greatest crime.
is the greatest crime. Because wasted time
means a wasted mind.
So best use your time when you are in your prime, and your whole life will be sublime. If your wealth is gone, then there is nothing wrong. If your health is gone,
that's a different song.
that's a different song.
But if your character dies,
If your character dies, then the world will cry. Only saintly behavior,
that's humanity try.
Let humanity try.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We must always remember Krishna and never forget him too. But how are we to practice this with so many things to do? That is the greatest question. And here is the greatest clue. You must learn to work so nicely that Krishna remembers you. So listen very closely. Make your thinking sharp. Let's learn how we can live and work so Krishna won't depart. If something's due tomorrow, finish it today. Whatever's due today, do it now, don't delay. Your friends might be lazy or doing bad things.
But you think again.
Don't follow them. And you will win the end. Whatever work we're given,
we do our really best.
We do our really best.
We only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest.
We only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest.
This is how to live, to learn how to play. This is learn to respect, to Krishna every day.
This is how to live, to work and to play. You learn to live this way. You see Krishna every day.
When our time is up, you take us up We'll sing and dance with him with a heart full of love.
And when our time is up, He take us up above. We sing and dance with Him with a heart full of love.
We chant Krishna's name, His glory and His fame. He's the only end in the world can never become sad.
So chant Krishna's name, His glory and His fame. It's the only way this world will ever become sane. Now
please ask this greatest question.
Now please ask this greatest question and find this greatest clue. You can only remember Krishna if Krishna remembers you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai.
Jai. His Holiness Srila Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki
Jai.
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Bo.
Namo Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Vastava Bhutale Shrimati Mahavishnu Goswami Namine. Namo Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Vastava Bhutale Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Prashayana Nirvishesha Shunvari Prasad Sarine. Just before we go, Hare Krishna Manish. Mummy is here? Mummy is here? Who's mummy here? Before we finish, I don't know if he's there.
भाई मम्मी just हमना गई.
अच्छा, okay.
Yes.
Chal, all the best. Pachi baat kare phone pe. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll see you next week, same place, same time, Krishna willing. But till then, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much. Dandavat Pranam.